Today, discussing a little bit about the some of the mechanisms that occur in chronic pain that can go awry, and kind of what happens in the brain with chronic pain that may help with a mindfulness perspective. So I was reading this. I was reading this book the other day, and it was a good book. And they were comparing two people, let's say, and let's say we're hunter gatherers, and we are in a jungle or in the African savannah or anything like that, and we have Fearless Freddy and Anxious Andy. So Fearless Freddy and Anxious Andy. And you're in the jungle. And Fearless Freddy is exactly as his name describes him. Completely fearless. Doesn't worry or is concerned about anything. And that's how he lives his life. And then we have Anxious Andy, who every noise that he doesn't recognize, he turns and looks and has sort of a startle reflex in him, and goes and turns and looks and makes sure, and every single step is constantly surveying his surroundings, and is very careful in terms of where he's placing his next step, what type of food he eats, where he's getting his water, if the water is clean or not, how can he be sure that the water is clean, et cetera, et cetera. And Fearless Freddy, he doesn't care. Right? He's like, we got water. That's all that matters. Let's just eat this, whatever that is. Let's eat it, because we need food to survive, and is never really surveying his environment, because he's not scared of anything. Nothing worries him. Nothing hinders him. In the history of evolution, both of these characters have been alive, and in the history of evolution, it is likely that one of them survived more than the other, actually. And can you guess which one probably actually survived? Well, more likely than not, it was probably Anxious Andy. And we've talked about this similar mechanism when we discussed rewiring happiness. I'm not sure if you guys remember that whole module we went through, in terms of the negativity bias, right? In terms of, actually, we are genetically predisposed to have this negativity bias, because the negativity bias is sort of like, what don't I have, right? Well, what don't I have? The cultures and tribes that thought about what they didn't have and how to acquire it were more likely to survive, let's say, than the ones that were like, oh, we have a tiny bit of water and we're gonna be fine. We don't have to move to find water. If a tribe had a tiny bit of water and moved, they were likely to get water, and just sort of hoping that water would appear might not have been the best survival mechanism. And so we've talked about this with the negativity bias, in terms of we have this predisposition towards going towards negativity, and in rewiring happiness, recognizing that, and then saying, oh, that's actually genetically, so how can I, and we talked about enhancing and enriching those joyous moments that occur in our life, but we always kind of put them down or not really pay much attention to them because we're always going to the what we don't have. Well, it's actually the exact same thing. It's that exact same mechanism with Fearless Freddy and Anxious Andy. Right. If we are constantly on high alert, um, and we're monitoring and we're surveying every movement that we're making. Oh, is the ceiling gonna break? No, it's okay. Okay, I think the walls are good. I don't see much. I don't see breaking in the walls. Okay, the ceiling's not gonna break. Where's my okay? I got my food right. We got this. We got that. Oh, what was that noise? Oh, and you send one of your guys out and checks out the noise, and it's like, oh, it's just a tree fell, right? Okay, good. It wasn't the army of lions that was going to come and attack us. Because if it was the army of lions that was going to come and we need to be prepared, right? We need to know prior, and then we can be prepared, and then we can attack the lions and shoo them away and survive as a tribe or as a culture or what that right? Where Fearless Freddy is like, who cares? And then all of a sudden the lions come and attack and you're done. Okay. So there is this predisposition, believe it or not, kind of unfortunate to us, but that is really important for our survival because, if we don't have a water supply, we need to figure out where we're going to get water, how we're going to purify it for our survival. So that is the survival of ourselves, of our species. And so we have this kind of predisposition to be on high alert, let's say. All right. Especially when things are perceived by our brain to be dangerous. All right. And this is really important because the purpose of pain in that acute phase is a danger signal. When our brain interprets the sensation that's coming from whatever limb, body part, or anything that is having an unpleasant sensation, the brain actually interprets it and creates pain. That is a signal that something is dangerous, that something may be going on that is dangerous. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that there is actual tissue damage that has occurred, because you can have the experience of pain without having tissue damage. This happens all the time. And it's a signal that if you continue or you go for longer periods of time doing whatever activity you're doing, you may cause tissue damage. All right, so I can put my hand over a burning flame. That will trigger receptors in my finger that are heat receptors. I will feel the temperature increase. Okay. It will feel like a burning, maybe a sharpness, because those receptors will send that signal. The pain is actually an experience that is created by the brain when the brain receives those signals. Danger. Okay, if I keep my finger over the burning flame, guess what? I now have a burnt finger. Okay, if I notice the sensation increasing, that unpleasant sensation increasing, and I interpret it as danger, and I pull my finger off, I look at my finger and I go, oh, my finger, there's no tissue damage. Oh, but I felt that, wow, that felt really intense, but I pulled it off before any tissue damage actually occurred. Right? So I got the signal, danger, stop, change what you're doing. If you continue doing this, you may actually cause damage, and protecting you. right? So just imagine the beauty of pain in that signal to yourself. Okay. Hey, this either caused tissue damage or is going to cause tissue damage. Let's change what you're doing. Let's try to protect you. Let's keep you as safe as possible. All right. Danger. Do we need emergency services at this point? No, we don't. I just pulled my finger off of a burning candle. We're good. Right. Okay. If you were ever, if you have brothers or sisters or cousins or aunts and you were ever in a little wrestling match or something like that, and they grabbed your arm and they twisted your arm, you're like, stop, 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 right? They put you in a situation. If I bend my finger back, I can feel that I can go there. I start feeling a really intense stretch, right? So that we have stretch receptors that send a signal, right? It could be interpreted as pain, but I'm sort of doing it, right? But if I go beyond my body right now, my brain right now is saying, hey, don't go more than this, because if you do, I'm already sensing the stretch at a limit. If you go beyond this, you could cause tissue damage. And so you say, stop, stop, stop. Yep. Okay. I surrender, or, you wave the right flag or whatever it is. Right. And so when you think of that acute pain, really, really, really important to kind of understand it as that acute pain danger signal, that something dangerous may be occurring, that what the body wants to try to do is protect itself. It wants to make you change what you're doing. When we sense a danger signal, right? Just like I'm in the woods and I hear a broken stick out in the distance, okay? My system gets activated. That's a high alert. That's a good thing, right? When I am in acute pain, I want to activate my sympathetic nervous system to be able to mobilize my resources in terms of being able to get to the emergency room if necessary, stopping blood supply to certain areas if there's a bleed, if I need to run away, opening blood supply to other areas, whatever the mechanism or the physiology that needs to be done by the body, right? Hey, we got to call 911. We got to get this person to an ambulance. Whatever it might be. Those are all good things. I'm gonna tighten my muscles. I'm gonna spasm my muscles so you can't move your back anymore. Right? Just think of the intelligence of the human body. As you injure your back, we try to get rid of muscle spasms chronically, right? But acutely, it's actually, boom, I'm spasming. You can't move, because if you do move in that, and you try to lift that 100-pound weight, you might injure your back. And I'm going to say no. What a beautiful response. Okay. So in the acute phase, when we have that sensation, that really strong sensation that's unpleasant, that our mind interprets as something that's dangerous, a painful experience emerges, danger signal goes off, we are going to try to protect ourselves. We're going to change what we're doing, and we're going to be on high alert. All right. That sympathetic nervous system is more likely going to be firing. Our heart rate's going to increase, our respiratory rate is going to increase, our blood pressure is going to go up, and we're going to mobilize our blood in different areas. Okay. Really good. All right. That helps us survive. Okay. Now, what happens in chronic pain is, we've talked a little bit about this before, but if you don't heal from the injury, or you stay in this high alert state because of that unpleasant sensation that's constantly being sent to your brain, and your brain interpreting it as pain, 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 well, what do you continue to feel like you're in? You continue to feel like you're in danger. Okay. And that's really important. That's really important. All right. When we get past that phase of, let's say, hey, I injured my tissue. Do I need to get surgery? No, we're going to go non-operative, or we're going to go operative management on this. Okay, whatever it is. How can I help my tissue heal? Right. Whether it's through ice, heat, stretching, strengthening, certain injections, certain like infrared, heat, whatever it might be, ultrasound, right? Things that try to stimulate the healing process. If you've done all those and you're still feeling pain, and it's non-operative, right? And you've had the X-ray and you've had the MRI, and there's no metastatic cancer, there's no infection, there's no broken bone, there's no snapped tendon, there's no ruptured muscle, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Those are all danger, right? When it's sort of like, oh, I have some arthritis, or I got some mild, let's say, tendinopathy, but I'm learning these exercises to try to strengthen the muscle. Okay, and it's been chronic. It's been 6 months, 9 months, 6 years, right? I've gotten the MRIs, I've gotten the X-rays. There's nothing dangerous in that. I've gone to therapy. I've learned my exercises. I'm slowly improving. I'm slowly getting stronger, or I've plateaued and I've just maintained my strength. I've maintained this, but I'm still in pain. Okay. Because our brain is consistently interpreting that unpleasant sensation as something that's dangerous, we still think that there's something dangerous that's occurring. So what's going to happen? We're going to be on high alert, right? And when we feel the pain, our first response is going to be danger. Danger, danger. Okay. If every single movement you made was a fire alarm going off in your home, that would be crazy. But that's kind of what it is in the brain. If you move your shoulder, okay, and a fire alarm goes off in your head, oh my God, okay, let's try to put out the fire. Well, I have for 6 years. I've used medications and this and this and this and this. Okay. All right. So when our brain is in this sort of state of high alertness, our brain can actually make mistakes in terms of how it interprets the sensations that are coming from the periphery. Right? Because we want to err. So it's almost like, well, evolutionarily, we kind of want to err on being on high alert. Why? Because that actually helped us survive. Okay. Now, though, we have MRIs, we have CT scans. Okay. Hopefully, enough of us have food and water. We don't have to be in high alert for basic survival needs. Okay. But if you just ask yourself, oh, am I in a state of high alert? Am I in a state of high alert? Just throughout the day, regardless of your pain. If you're in pain, you're more likely in a state of high alert, just because of the sensations that your pain is sending to your brain and your brain interpreting it. Okay. But if you just think about, am I in a state of high alert? Well, how many times did you check your email or your cell phone this morning for new messages that came in? How many times did you look at any social media for new comments on any posts that you did? How many times did you check the news for updates on any situations that were occurring either locally or internationally? Okay, how many of those updates caused or created an increased state of alertness within yourself, within your body, or within your community? How many times did you kind of look out the window to see who was out there, or noises or anything like that? Right? And not that everybody is in a state of high alert, but you're just kind of assessing that for yourself. Well, if I'm in chronic pain, it's more likely that I'm in a state of high alert. But society is also kind of helping to create and maintain this state of high alertness. Right? Well, I check my email every 30 seconds, right? I check my, whatever it is. Okay. I hear something and I suddenly turn and, what was that? Okay. It's probably a state of high alert. Okay. If we're in a state of high alert, our brain is actually more likely then to interpret strong, unpleasant sensations as something that is dangerous. Right. And this is hugely important. Hugely. Why? Because when we're in chronic pain, one of the things that we absolutely need to do, if we know that this is the chronic pain that we've had for months, years, whatever it might be, okay, that we can start telling ourselves that those sensations that we are feeling are not dangerous. They're not harmful. And when you see this umbrella, right, of the practice of mindfulness, recognize the state of high alertness that you may be in just because of your pain or because of the way that society runs us and creates the state of high alertness, that maybe our nervous system is actually more primed to feeling these unpleasant sensations because we are already in a state of high alertness. And so we feel something, it's kind of like, what's that? Oh my God, right? And we talked about the fear response, right? The fear that's generated from that, the catastrophic thinking that comes from that, right? Oh, that's the same sensation that I've had for the last 2-3 years, right? Okay. So if it's the same sensation that you've had for the last, 6, 12, 10 years, 6 months, 12 months, 10 years, whatever it may be, right? It's time to start telling ourselves that it is okay. That those sensations are safe. That we put this all together and we look at the high alert state that we are in and just accept that. Say, oh my good, yes, I'm in a high alert state. So one, can I work on ways of helping to decrease that high alert state, right? We've talked about that, balancing the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. To bring down the high alert state so that our brain is less likely to make errors when interpreting signals from the periphery of our body. Number one. Number two, since we are living in this state of chronic pain, that one way of trying to decrease the experience of pain as the brain is interpreting it is by telling ourselves that those sensations that we feel, that we interpret as chronic pain, are okay, they're safe, they're not dangerous, and they're not causing harm. Okay. Is that clear? Because that sort of, in my view, encompasses a lot of the practices that we're doing. It really brings in balancing of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system and learning activities that can enhance the parasympathetic nervous system and kind of quiet down the sympathetic nervous system a little bit. We're in such a state of stress. It also looks at, well, if I'm in chronic pain and I have not had any acute pain, what are the treatments that I'm getting or that I'm performing for myself that help me, let's say, heal any damaged tissue? How am I trying to heal the damaged tissue? If there's still tissue that's damaged, okay, can it be healed? How can I heal it? If I can't heal it, right, remove my attachment to my diagnosis. Well, I have degenerative spine disease. I have degenerative disease of my discs. And look at ways of starting to decrease this high alert sympathetic state and increase our feeling of safety despite the unpleasant sensation, telling our mind that we're okay. And over time, what's going to happen is that the pain experience, the sensations that are interpreted by the brain are going to the interpretation is going to start to change to create a different experience. This is all neuroplasticity. This is all the ability of the mind and brain to change, to alter, to form new synapses, right? This is really powerful. Okay. So with that, I'd like to go into our practice for today. Okay, so let's find a comfortable posture. A posture we feel relaxed yet alert. Closing your eyes if you feel comfortable closing your eyes. If not, having a soft downward gaze as you're gazing off on the horizon, over the ocean, as the sun is setting. And taking 2 or 3 deep breaths and allowing yourself to come to this moment. And allowing yourself to feel your feet on the floor, your arms in your lap, or supported by whatever surface they're on. And bringing your attention to your anchor or your resource. Again, that mindset. Where do you place your attention? Where can you place your attention or your mind that you feel safer? This might be your breath, the sensation of your breath, counting your inhales and exhales. It might be a felt sense in your body, your feet making contact with the floor. It might be the repetition of a sound, phrase, mantra, prayer. It might be an image in your mind of a loved one, a pet, nature, a spiritual figure, guru. It might be a flower or a burning candle. Whatever it is, using this place that you can direct your attention to as a resource. And as your mind wanders, which inevitably it will do, recognizing that as a beautiful moment of mindfulness. The moment you recognize your mind has wandered away from your anchor or resource is a beautiful moment of mindfulness. With kindness and compassion for yourself, simply bringing it back to your anchor or resource. And just taking a moment to recognize what are the situations in your life today that are causing your nervous system to be on high alert. Are there any practices such as meditation or mindfulness that can help regulate that? Just really noticing what the baseline is for our system to be able to interpret these sensations that we feel from our body. In this state of high alertness, we may perceive some of those sensations incorrectly, especially if they're chronic, as dangerous. If you do have any areas in your body that you notice as unpleasant sensations being sent to your brain, see if you can notice those as sensation. Purely as a sensation. And if these sensations are chronic, you've had them for more than 6 months, 12 months. You've had imaging that shows that there's nothing dangerous. Removing the diagnosis you've been given. And starting to tell yourself that those sensations are okay, that those sensations are safe, that those sensations are not dangerous, that those sensations are not causing any harm. Notice how your body responds, if at all. If at any point it gets too intense, simply redirecting your attention back to your resource or anchor. From this space of relative safety, opening up to those sensations that are unpleasant, that have been there for a while, and telling yourself those sensations are okay. They're safe. They are not dangerous and will not cause harm. And allowing your entire body, mind, and spirit to rest in a field of okayness, of safety, even if it's just for this moment, this moment, this moment. And just noticing where your mind is now. Seeing if you can come back to this field of safety. Resting in your resource or anchor. Starting to decrease this high alert state. And increasing the signals of safety, okayness, from some of the strong, unpleasant sensations we've felt for so long. That maybe our brain has misinterpreted as dangerous. Telling ourselves those sensations are okay. Those sensations are not dangerous. And resting in safety. And with that, seeing if you can bring this safety net into your world, into your daily life, as we naturally feel the ebbs and flows of our chronic pain. Starting to change the experience and change the way the brain is interpreting the signals towards safety. And with that, taking 2 or 3 deep breaths, opening your eyes if your eyes were closed, and just taking a moment to reflect on your practice today.